another composer lives in Santa Monica, it's a mile down the street. And what a lovely kind of evening to have. Local composers, local venue, two local arts, cultural organizations, Justin throughout the city for cultural affairs, and Lisa is the connection here for Santa Monica Symphony. And we owe them gratitude for putting this together. I'm very grateful, and the other composers are as well. Not to mention this hard-working quintet playing these pieces. Tell you just a little bit about my piece. It's probably the most old-fashioned piece on the program tonight. And in my oeuvre, it's really not one of my major things. It's just a couple of little miniatures that sort of project the moods of the 4 seasons of the year, although there are obviously many moods you can be in a given time of year. And eventually, after writing them, I gave them little subtitles. The winter one, I found myself imagining snow on the mountains. I actually just spent 5 hours walking in the San Gabriel Mountains and saw the snow on the peaks on the way in, although I was in the front country. I'm very fond of mountains. So it's that kind of a solemn, somber, slightly cool feel. Second movement kind of depicts a brisk day, a windy day in a park with a lot of leaves, a certain amount of moving around. And like the first movement, actually all three of them are very simple forms. They're just ABA song forms. Sometimes when the first section comes back, it's slightly varied. And the tunes are fairly tonal and fall pretty easily on the ear. And then the summer is like one of those hot summer nights when you've never been in the South, where it gets really hot and really humid. You have to imagine where you just cannot sleep, and then you little love that happens at night is sort of preys on your imagination. It's unlike the autumn walk, it's very much about not moving. There are some odd sounds in the middle section, which might be fireflies, it might be something calling over it, I don't know. And the finale is, the subtitle is Children Playing on a Grassy Hill. It's very much about movement and very much about game-like repetition of motives and ideas. And there's even a point in the middle, in the return, where they start repeating something so often it gets a little hyperactive. And there's a horn solo towards the end that I think is one of the kids up in a tree playing pirate. You can run whatever movie you like in your head. There's another interesting thing I want to share with you about the piece, about how it came to be, which is that the composition, the 4 movements span 40 years, like a pair of double bookends. I wrote 2 of the movements, and I'm not going to tell you which, because I'd like to see if you can guess which are the early ones. When I was an undergraduate at Harvard, I wrote a piano meditation and then transcribed it for winds, and then I added another piece. And those got performed a number of times. And then quite a while later, I met Emily Rizzo-Newstadt, who's very talented amateur vocalist in Delaware County. And she and her husband Aaron commissioned me to write the other 2. After they had performed 2 of them, and you know, a conversation was, why don't you write the others? And I said, well, I happen to have sketches, but I'm not commissioned now. So I managed to get a commission out of that, and also wrote a vocal piece. The problem was, how do you get back into the headspace you were in 40 years ago as an undergraduate in college and write 2 more matching pieces that are in the same feel? Or do you go and maybe see if there are any compositional errors in the early ones and fix them so that they're as sophisticated as whatever you're writing now? I chose to try to get small and write simple things to go with the older pieces rather than to apologize for what I wrote. They're pretty good for speaking words. But I would love to hear from any of you who think you've nailed which 2 are the early ones and which 2 are the late ones. The other thing I want to say is it's a wonderful challenge writing for wind quintet, because you have, as Brent said, this variety of tone color. Their continual challenge is when they're all together doing